Hello, so my name is Jasmine Gomez, and this is my presentation on the topic of diverse and inclusive plays, playwrights, and theatrical forms for understanding theater. Now, to start off the presentation, what is the topic about? The topic of diverse and inclusive plays holds a broad range of subtopics and information to learn about. However, it all is deemed as important since it is a part of theater's history, as it shows progression of trends taken on during different points in time. The topic of diverse and inclusive plays, playwrights, and theatrical forms creates a focus point of learning on the underrepresentation of specific populations. These can include groups such as African American, Asian American, or feminist groups. So, to start off, for the feminist era, the women's movement was a time of great controversy where women in the United States protested and fought for their rights to be treated equally among others. The most prevalent time being where individuals used the stage as a means to spread their message was during the second wave of the movement in the 1960s and titled as feminist theater. The reasonings behind feminist theater broke off into many directions of interest, one being to start attempts at bringing female playwrights into the known to give credit where credit was due. Individuals like Avril Ben and Laurieann Hansberry are some examples. So I wanted to focus on Laurieann Hansberry. So Laurieann was one woman who made an impactful drama piece that was seen as a milestone during the cause. Hansberry had become the first African American woman playwright to have a show produced on Broadway's stage in 1959. The play gained much attention due to its eye-opening portrayal of the racial and prejudice and gender issues that happened during that time period. People had doubts that the play would succeed in the theater industry, yet it was proven wrong by an incredible amount. Not only was the show a great success, but it also proceeded to have showings for an ongoing 19 months, have itself turned into a movie in 1961, and won a New York Drama Critics Circle Award for Best Play in 1959. Next thing I wanted to talk about was the multicultural aspects. So, our history books and society used to commonly shine light on theatrical performances predominantly white. However, history of theatrical works can be found in various countries around the world with many forms of diversity. Throughout the years, theater has progressed and opened up to the diversification and inclusiveness of people from various backgrounds. Some theater works I'll be focusing on are African American, Asian American, and Native American theater. So, African American theater is one of the most common and prime examples of what diversity looks like in America. Around the 18th and 19th century, it was not common to see African American performers. However, there were attempts made at putting an end to that, with Black-owned theaters showing their own productions. Yet constant attacks from white audiences forced the venues to close. During the 20th century, a rise of ragtime music made its way into the musical theater scene and brought out more opportunities for the African American community to show their talents for the stage. The most impactful event of progression was during the 1930s of the Great Depression, where efforts were made to support struggling artists through the creation of the Federal Theater Project. This in turn allowed talented individuals like Zora Neale Hurston and Orson Welles to become successful in future years. For Asian American theater, It's had its presence in the United States through puppet shows, acrobatic shows, and traditional operas that were brought over to California around 1850s. The community's background had theatrical arts deeply rooted in their culture's history. However, for most of the 19th century, the Asian actors played only in menial stereotypical roles such as cooks or vamps, while white actors held leading roles even for the Asian characters. Later on in the 1960s and 1970s, a movement of sorts began to change the representation situation. More awareness for the multicultural communities was being brought to light and allowed for Asian Americans to play in the appropriate roles. Theater organizations also began making appearances, such as the East West Players, who employed Asian Americans and produced plays based on their Asian heritage. For Native American theater, unlike the previous multicultural theater groups discussed, Native Americans didn't perform traditional like theater. Instead, their performances were spiritual based in social traditions within their cultures and with theatrical elements to them. These ceremonial traditions were outlawed by the Religious Crimes Code of 1883 as a way to erase the identities of the natives and have them conform to the government-mandated assimilation policies. As of recent years, being only 89 years ago, the American Indian Religious Freedom Act of 1972 allowed for the ability to perform certain ceremonies once again. The emergence of Native American theater arrived soon after these traditional ceremonies gained public attention. Two groups set a foundation for Native American theater. Those groups were the Native American Theater Ensemble and Spider Woman Theater. Spider Woman Theater was founded in 1975 and has continued to hold a record of the longest continually running women's theater in North America, as well as longest running Native American theater. Not only is the theater under the heading of Native American theater, but also as feminist theater as well. They incorporate the celebrations of being a Native American woman as well as the stereotypes that come along with being a woman in general into their theatrical performances. And on the side, I have a picture of three of the founding members of Spider Woman Theater: Lisa Mayo, Gloria Miguel, and Muriel Miguel. To end this off, these are some websites I use for my presentation. Some things from Shakespeare's Globe, Council of Europe, Gale.com, womenshistory.org, Native Philanthropy, and Spider Woman Theater website. That brings us to the end of my presentation. I thank you for watching.